At the edge of a quiet village stretched a long dirt road. On both sides of the road, fields waved gently in the wind. Here, tall stalks of wheat swayed in rhythm with the breeze. There, old trees stood with their wide branches, casting cool shade on the ground below. Near this road, a forgotten hut stood abandoned, its walls worn by time. It was no longer a shelter for people, but it had become a home for a silent wanderer. This wanderer was a stray dog the villagers called Shiro. Shiro had no family, no owner, and no place he could truly call his own. In the mornings, he roamed the village paths, quietly watching life unfold around him. Sometimes he stood near the children playing in the open yard, his ears twitching as their laughter filled the air. Sometimes he sat in front of little shops, watching the shopkeepers bargain with customers. By evening, he wandered back toward the fields, and when night arrived, he curled himself inside the abandoned hut, where darkness and loneliness kept him company. The children liked him. They would throw him little bits of bread or smile at his wagging tail. But the adults, they were different. They often shooed him away, waving their arms or throwing stones at the ground to scare him off. In their eyes, a stray dog was nothing but trouble, dangerous, unpredictable, unwanted. But Shiro had never harmed anyone. He never barked in anger, never chased anyone, never bit a soul. He only lived quietly, as if even existing was something he did cautiously. There was something about his eyes, though. They were soft, almost human, carrying a wordless plea, "I mean no harm. I only wish to belong." But the villagers, weighed down by their own struggles, never stopped long enough to notice. The night of rain. One late afternoon, the sky grew heavy with clouds. The air turned damp, the breeze carried a chill, and soon thunder rolled across the horizon. Within moments, the rain came crashing down. It was not gentle rain but a fierce storm, with winds strong enough to shake the trees and lightning that tore through the sky. Water flooded the dirt paths, turning them into streams of mud. The villagers hurried indoors, shutting doors and windows, lighting lamps against the darkness. But then, over the pounding rain, came the sound of panic. From one house near the center of the village rose the cries of a mother. "My child, my son is missing." Her voice, broken and desperate, pierced through the storm. Neighbors gathered at once, their lanterns glowing faintly in the downpour. The story quickly spread. Her little boy, Ali, had gone out to play before the storm began. In the chaos of the rain, he had not returned. The villagers searched, but the storm was merciless. The rain blinded their eyes, and the mud pulled at their feet. They called out the boy's name, but their voices drowned in the thunder. One by one, soaked and defeated, they returned home, shaking their heads. "Nothing can be done tonight," some said. "We'll search again in the morning." But the mother refused to accept their words. She wept, her hands trembling, her heart breaking at the thought of her child lost in the storm. Shiro's choice. In the shadows, near the old hut, Shiro had watched everything. His ears caught the woman's cries. His eyes followed the lanterns bobbing through the rain. And though he was only a dog, unwanted, untrusted, something stirred inside him. A restless urgency, a need to move, to act. Without hesitation, Shiro dashed into the storm. Rain pelted against his fur, and the mud clung to his paws, but he pressed on. His nose lifted to the air, seeking, searching. Every gust of wind carried scents: wet grass, damp soil, wood smoke, and somewhere, faint but distinct, the trace of a child. He ran across fields, weaving between hedges, sniffing, pausing, then leaping forward again. His body grew heavy with water, his legs ached, but he did not stop. The storm could not silence the call within him. And then, a sound. Soft, almost drowned by the rain. A whimper, a child's cry. Shiro's ears pricked, and he raced toward the sound. Beneath a thorny bush, half hidden by branches, little Ali sat curled up, shivering violently. His clothes were soaked through, his small hands numb with cold. His lips trembled as he whimpered in fear. A night of kindness. Shiro approached slowly. At first, the boy flinched, his wide eyes filled with fear. But then he saw the dog's gentle gaze, those calm, patient eyes that seemed to say, "Don't be afraid. I am here." The child's panic softened, his breathing steadied. Shiro lay down beside him, pressing his wet body against the boy's fragile frame. Despite the storm, despite the cold, Shiro's body carried warmth, and little by little, that warmth began to seep into Ali's shaking limbs. The rain still lashed down, the wind howled, but in that small circle beneath the bush, there was comfort. Ali's eyes grew heavy, his head rested against Shiro's damp fur, and exhaustion overcame his fear. Soon, he drifted into sleep, safe in the shelter of a stray dog's body. Shiro did not sleep. All night long, he stayed alert, watching, listening, guarding. The rain soaked him, the cold gnawed at his bones, but he endured. Every breath he took, every heartbeat, was a shield for the child who leaned against him. Morning light. When dawn finally broke, the storm had passed. Pale sunlight pushed through the thinning clouds, and the air smelled of wet earth and new beginnings. The villagers gathered once more, lanterns replaced with the light of morning, their voices calling out as they searched again for the lost boy. Then, one farmer shouted, "Over here, come quickly." The villagers ran, and there, beneath the bush, they saw a sight that stilled their hearts. Ali lay peacefully asleep, his face calm, his tiny chest rising and falling with life. Curled beside him sat Shiro, drenched, shivering, but watchful, his eyes steady, his posture protective. It was clear, through the long stormy night, Shiro had kept the boy alive. The mother rushed forward, crying with relief. She gathered her child into her arms, kissing his damp hair, whispering words of gratitude. Then her eyes fell on the dog. For the first time, she did not see a stray, or a threat, or a burden. She saw a savior. The villagers too stood silent, their old judgments wavering. The dog they had chased, shunned, and ignored had done what none of them could. He had braved the storm, found the child, and given everything he had to keep him alive. A new beginning. From that day on, Shiro was no longer alone. The villagers cleaned the abandoned hut for him, laying straw and cloth to keep him warm. Children came every day to play with him, laughing as his tail wagged with joy. Shopkeepers placed scraps of food near their doors. Farmers greeted him kindly as they passed. Shiro, once an outcast, had found his place. His eyes shone brighter, his steps carried a new strength, and his heart, the heart that had always been full of quiet kindness, now beat within a family that finally saw him for what he was. And the mother, each time she held her son, would glance toward Shiro and whisper a silent prayer, "May you always be blessed. You gave me back my child." Thus, the story of a stray dog's mercy became the story of a village transformed. Shiro had not only saved a life, he had softened hearts, teaching them that compassion can live in the most unexpected places.